If somebody told me this happened to them, I wouldn't believe it. I absolutely would not believe that this could happen in America.
Tonight, a New Jersey man finds out how risky it can be to carry cash through Tennessee. For more than a year, News Channel 5 Investigates has been shining a light on a practice that some call policing for profit.
In this latest case, a Monterey officer took $22,000 off the driver even though he had committed no crime. News Channel 5 Chief Investigative Reporter Phil Williams is still on the case.
And the practice we're talking about is actually legal under Tennessee law. But as you're about to see, critics say the protections written into that law don't really provide much protection at all.
You live in the United States, you think you have rights, and apparently you don't.
As a professional insurance adjuster, George Reeby spends a lot of time traveling from state to state. But it was on a trip to a conference in Nashville last January that the New Jersey man got a real education in Tennessee justice.
I never had any clue that they thought they would be able to take my money legally. I didn't do anything wrong.
Reeby was driving down I-40 heading west through Putnam County when he was stopped for speeding. A Monterey police officer wanted to know if he was carrying any large amounts of cash.
And I said, around 20,000. And then at that point he said, do you mind if I search your vehicle? And I said, no, I don't mind. I certainly didn't feel I was doing anything wrong. It was my money.
That's when the officer confiscated the cash, $22,000 in all, based on his suspicion that it was drug money. Why didn't you arrest him?
Because he hadn't committed a criminal law.
Officer Larry Bates says the amount of money and the way it was packed gave him reason to be suspicious.
The safest place to put your money, if it's legitimate, is in a bank account.
But it's not illegal to carry cash.
No, it's not illegal to carry cash. Again, it's what the cash is being used for to facilitate or what it's being utilized for.
But you had no proof that that money was being used for drug trafficking, correct? No proof.
And he couldn't prove that it was legitimate.
Tiene mucho dinero en su truck y trailer?
Bates is part of a system that News Channel 5 Investigates has discovered gives Tennessee police agencies the incentive to take cash off of out-of-state drivers. If they don't come back to fight for their money, the agency gets to keep it all.
This is a taking without due process.
Union City Attorney John Miles is a former Texas prosecutor who's seen similar cases. He says that while police are required to get a judge to sign off on a seizure within 5 days, state law says that hearing shall be ex parte, meaning only the officer's side can be heard. That's why George Reeby was never told there was a hearing on his case.
It wouldn't have mattered because the judge would have said, this says it shall be ex parte, sit down and shut up. I'm not to hear from you by statute.
I told them I had active bids on eBay that I was trying to buy a vehicle, and they just didn't want to hear it.
In fact, Reeby had proof on his computer, but the Monterey officer drew up a damning affidavit citing his own training that common people do not carry this much U.S. currency.
On the street, a $1,000 bundle could approximately buy 2 ounces of cocaine.
Or the money could have been used to buy a car.
It's possible.
And did he tell you that he was trying to buy a car?
He did.
But you did not include that in your report.
If it's not in there, I didn't put it in there.
So why would you leave that out?
I don't know.
Bates also told the judge the money was hidden inside a tool bag underneath trash to deter law enforcement from locating it.
That's inaccurate. I pulled out the bag and gave it to him.
And even though there was no proof that Reeby was involved in anything illegal, Bates' affidavit portrays him as a man with a criminal history, a history of an arrest for possession of cocaine.
And that was 20-some years ago.
Were you convicted?
No, I wasn't convicted.
But Officer Bates says that old arrest was still part of the calculation to take Reeby's money.
Am I going to use it? Yes, I'm going to use it because he's been charged with it in the past, regardless whether it was 10 or 15 years ago.
We're entitled not to be deprived, right, of our property without due process of law, both under the Tennessee Constitution and the federal Constitution. And nobody cares. Nobody cares.
I'm just looking forward to getting my money and leaving.
After Reeby filed an appeal and after News Channel 5 began investigating, the state agreed to return his money.
I voluntarily waive my constitutional rights to be
if he'd sign a statement promising not to sue. They also made him come all the way back from New Jersey to Monterey. He got a check, but no apology.
If they lied about everything in the report, why would they apologize?
And with that, Reeby was ready to put Tennessee in his rearview mirror.
Really don't want to come back here.
Now, Mr. Reeby was able to provide us and the state with letters from his employers showing he had a legitimate source of income. It took him 4 months to get his money back, but for most people, it usually takes a lot longer, Vicki.
And I would imagine most people have to hire an attorney.
That's right, a lot of people do, and that works to the benefit of the police. John Miles had 2 clients where police agreed to drop the cases in exchange for a cut of the money. In one case, $1,000, in another case, $2,000, which is less than what they might have paid in attorney fees. He calls that extortion.
All right, thanks, Phil. Now, this year, state lawmakers debated a bill to create a special committee to investigate these policing for profit issues. That bill died in the last days of the legislative session. If you have a tip on this or anything else we should investigate, send us an email. The address, investigate@newschannel5.com or call 244-NEWS.